Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I'm up here minding my own business, trying to wake up, trying not to fall asleep at work when I got the alert that Roe versus Wade was overturned, and I'm like, what? Y'all, I gotta be frank. I didn't think in a million years this would happen, but here it is. They have been crying about the possibility that Roe versus Wade would be overturned for years. Back when Justice, I think his name was Justice Rehnquist, was about to die and lose his seat. I remember them when I was in college crying about this being a possibility. And it never came, and I never thought it would come. And yet here we are. Now, just a reminder, y'all, that just because Roe versus Wade was overturned at the federal level, that doesn't mean that the state is going to take away your rights. The states now have the power to determine whether or not it's legal and the various nuances of regulating abortion if it is to remain legal. Now, I'm not so sure that at the state level, women are going to have to worry. Granted, there are already states who have very strict abortion laws, even with Roe versus Wade being on the books as a right. For example, in the Dakotas, somewhere in the Dakotas, you have to have an abortion within 6 weeks. Otherwise, you can't have one, for example. And I'm pretty sure there's a couple of other states that are very strict. Y'all can correct me in the comments. I may be referring to old data. But anyways, how do I feel about this? Well, let's start with my general consensus of abortion, because I've spoken about this before, back when that whole debate of should Black women end their pregnancies if they're pregnant with a Black son. I made a video about that. I'll link that for y'all below. And my general consensus on abortion is that there's too many gray areas. There's too many nuances to this debate to say simply yes or simply no. I believe or disbelieve in a woman's right to have an abortion, especially when we have so many things that we can do to prevent pregnancy. You cannot have sex. You can use a condom. You can go on birth control. You can go on birth control and use a condom and spermicides. You can do all kinds of things to prevent a pregnancy, but somehow, some way, we are here. You can do a plan B. I've used plan B several times when I was in college to stop pregnancies, and it worked fine. I never got pregnant. I never had to deal with an abortion, thank God. Because even at 18, 19 years old, at the very least, I knew to go to the clinic to be like, I want to make sure that I don't ever get pregnant in my college days. You know what I mean? So luckily, I've never had to go through that, but I do know women who have, and no judgment. I was there for them whenever they needed moral support and they needed me to be there for them as a friend after they're going through an abortion. I've been there, because that's not an easy decision to make. It messes with you mentally, and for a lot of women, there are long-term physical impacts of having one. People don't like to talk about the fact that you may not be able to have babies again after you have one. You may get breast cancer. So there's all these different nuances to the debate that, you know, I can't say directly yes. I can't say directly no. So that's my overall consensus about abortions in itself. I feel that if men would take more responsibility for their sperm, women wouldn't have to have this debate to begin with. So that's my general consensus. Now, how do I feel about Roe versus Wade being overturned? Well, I got to be honest with y'all. As somebody whose job it is to analyze laws, as somebody who works with attorneys, you know, and of course, everybody has their own interpretation of the law. And, you know, that's why we have court systems, so that the different angles of a law can be hashed out so that a final decision can be made, right? And After reading up on the history of how Roe versus Wade came to be, I always thought for years that the decision in itself was made on the grounds of a weak reason. I read up on the lady. Her name is Norma McCorvey. She was Jane Roe. She was the mascot in the face of Roe versus Wade. She had gotten pregnant with her third child and didn't want to have it. Now, this is why I was just like, it was a weak argument that they made the decision of Roe versus Wade on. This is a woman who was said to be for abortion rights, then she was against it, so she was a flip-flopper. She admitted that she was getting paid both by people who were for abortion and against abortion. So her whole advocacy, whether she was advocating for or against abortion, was bought and paid for by that particular side. She also has been known to say, I am for abortion, and then on her deathbed that it was the most difficult and her biggest regret of her life to be the face of why abortions are legal at the federal level. And I also even read that she was encouraged by her friends to lie and say that she was sorry, I can't say that word, by a hyena, and lie about it so that she can try and go get one legally. But that didn't work. So we have this very wishy-washy person who is the reason why this became a law at the federal level to begin with. And then they wanted to apply the 14th Amendment to it, which y'all can read the 14th Amendment. And I feel like it was a very weak application of the Constitution to justify this. So on a legal level, on a legal analysis level, I understand the decision today. Now, how will this impact women? Well, as y'all know, this is primarily going to impact Black women, not divested Black women, but the vast majority of Black women, right? A part of me is glad it was overturned because maybe it will light a fire under some booties to think before you sit on shit log and allow it to procreate in your womb. I don't think that the overturning of Roe versus Wade is going to completely eliminate access to abortion. This is the obstacle I think that women will face as a result of this decision. Now that it's at the state level, there is going to be decisions made on whether or not it should be a thing in that particular state. And if it's a thing, what are going to be the nuances to this right, quote unquote, that women have? Some states may actually be like, nope, it's not going to be a thing. In the Dakotas, where it's like 6 weeks, I think they may be like, nope, this ain't going to be a thing up here. The 6 weeks was bad enough for us. But now that we don't have to at the federal level, we're completely eliminating that. So maybe in the Dakotas, they may be impacted by it. And anyways, I think that financially, there will be an impact. And as y'all know, a lot of these abortions have been federally funded. They've been federally funded, and a lot of women have been able to just go to the clinic, say that they're low income, get the procedure done, and we pay for it. Now that it's been overturned, that can't happen. The feds fund a lot of things in this country. That's where a lot of funding comes from. And at the federal level, it's no longer going to be funded. So I think that the impact, if any, is going to be financial. For a state that doesn't offer it, then you'll have to travel to a state that does. That's going to be a financial burden. The fact that it's not federally funded and you can't say, I'm poor, give me one for free. You're probably going to have to pay some of it, if not all of it now. That's going to be a financial burden. If your insurance doesn't cover it, that's going to be a financial burden. So I think that it's not going to eliminate access, because there's already states talking about being a safe haven for abortions. And even if they are offering them for free, there's still a matter of a flight or the gas that you're going to put in your tank to get there. So again, I think that the obstacle, if any, is going to be a financial one. So for me, I think the silver lining is maybe this will have Black women think twice before they sit on shit log and strap up, or you take your birth control, or just don't have sex. Celibacy is so underrated. As somebody who had her moment in college, who went through the marriage, and who also experienced celibacy, and I think I'm going on my 7th or 8th year of celibacy this year, 7th. It's completely underrated. You don't have to just go out there and have sex. You can go to the sex shop and get little mechanics to help you out. You don't have to sleep with a shit log and risk your body contracting permanent STDs, or worse, a child, or even worse, a hyena child in your womb. So if anything, maybe this will make Black women think twice before they let that shit log ejaculate in them. Because again, this doesn't impact Black divested women. This impacts the vast majority of women, Black women. And also, while I understand that argument that there will be our victims and incest victims who are going to be impacted by that, I understand that argument, but here's the thing. Those cases make up less than 2% of overall abortions. The vast majority of reasons why women get abortions are because they weren't prepared. Basically, they were being irresponsible with their wombs. That's the vast majority of abortion cases. And even when Roe versus Wade was put into law, it wasn't meant to be the shit show it became over the last few decades. It was supposed to be safe, legal, and rare. That's what it was supposed to be. And it ended up being a form of birth control for some heifers. So I understand that argument, but it makes up less than 2% of cases. And also, Blackistan likes to keep shit in the house. So even if this happens in Blackistan, they're not going to go to the clinic and have it aborted. They're going to make that child have that child. They're going to make that little girl have her uncle's child in Blackistan, and she better not say anything about it. So it's sort of a weak argument, y'all. But anyways, that's all I got to say about the matter. Let me know y'all's thoughts. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. See y'all on the next one. Love y'all.